And local trade is in need of strong gains today after a sluggish close yesterday. The JSE poured losses, let's say, on Wednesday, with the global markets mixed after the Federal Reserve raised interest rates by 0.25 percentage point. Chief Investment Officer and founder at Makwe Fund Managers is Makwe Masilela, joining us now for a quick markets update. But Masilela, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with your quick overview of how the markets have opened in early trade.
We opened muted after closing almost flat yesterday, and we know that the markets are starting the session with the expectation that the European Central Bank later this afternoon will have to join the likes of the US Central Bank and increase their interest rates by 25 basis points. And we've seen that the US Fed, they were right down in the middle between being dovish and hawkish, and that was negative for the US dollar. Hence, we see the rand strengthening, but it was positive for stocks so far.
Quick update on the company news. ArcelorMittal South Africa publishing its financial results. How have they fared in the period under review?
You know, the falling of the international demand when it comes to commodities have resulted into most commodities being affected, and steel is one of them. Hence, we've seen demand being muted, and that as a result had put pressure on prices. If you look in rand terms, prices were down 8%, in dollar terms down 22%, but international trade was benefiting from the fact that people have been ending the destocking and also the less painful energy prices. However, locally we continued to be under strain because of high inflation, high interest rates, meet economic growth, and then hence we have seen that their general sales were up just a mere 2.9%, but the local sales were down 5.8%, revenue down 5.1%. And when you look at the general overall performance of the company, that is been down 86%, which is called EBITDA, and you look into their profits as headline earnings per share, they were down 114%. Hence, it's not surprising that the guys continue not to pay out any dividends.
Let's conclude with the directors at TFG. These are the owners of Foschini, At Home, American Swiss, Sports Scene, among other brands. They've sold a collective 6.9 million rand worth of ordinary shares this month. Is there something to be concerned about there?
Not really, because, you know, people have needs. Those are the directors who've got their own financial needs. We know sometimes it gets to be done for tax purposes, and this time it was not for tax purposes. And I guess those directors, just like some of us, they continue to struggle and look for some extra cash wherever they can get it. And if you've got shares that you can sell, why not? And usually when the opposite happens, that you see company buying their own shares, it gets to be a very good indication that they see the shares being undervalued. So I guess the guys were just cashing up so that they can meet some of their external financial needs personally.
All right. I know I said that was my last question, but we can't conclude it without talking about Steinhoff shareholders who have voted in a meeting in Amsterdam to dissolve the empty shell that has become of this company and delisted it. Talk us through those developments. What happens next?
That was a foregone conclusion. Remember, the Dutch court authorized and approved that they can go ahead with the restructuring. And the restructuring stated clearly that Steinhoff, since you are not in the position to pay your debt by end of June 2023, which was almost 200 billion, then the creditors will be taking up the company, and then the guys who are ordinary shareholders will own 20% of that unlisted entity. And should it happen that that unlisted entity is able to make money and pay back all the debt, then those equity holders in that unlisted entity will then convert that into cash. But it was more of a foregone conclusion after we've seen the Dutch courts approving their restructuring plan.
Makwe Masilela, Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers, thank you very much for that markets update.